Seems legit. Hello legitimates, welcome back to my channel. Today we are in my laundry because we are making this bad boy. I'm making it from scratch. You will see all the stuff we need. I originally pulled out everything I thought I need and I got it wrong, but it's literally for moments like this where there's like coins coming out of pockets. So let's get started. Alright, so I have dragged out everything I'm pretty sure I'm going to need. So we obviously need our xTool. You will need a laptop to run the xTool. I also like to use a mouse. I find I have much more control over designs with an actual mouse. This one I got yesterday. It seems to be going alright. It's Bluetooth, so yay. You will need a jar. This was a pickle jar. Gherkin specifically, actually. 3/3's gherkin jar. And then I went and got a clamp, a hose clamp that is just slightly bigger so I can tighten it on. This size specifically is 46 to 70 millimeters. So that's what I needed. That was from Bunnings. It was $3 or $4. You will need some wood stain and an applicator. I'm using a sponge. You will need little screws. So I went with 12 mil. I actually only need one, but they come in a pack of 50, so I'll have plenty more for future projects. This piece of wood is 19 mil, so 3/4 of an inch by, oh, I don't remember the rest. It was the smallest piece there anyway. So it is, I will show you the sticker, 184 19 by 1.2. So that's the size of wood I'm doing, but basically what I did was I grabbed the jar and did this and saw which one looked nice. So that's a good size. So that's what I went with. And I'm using some 3 mil plywood. I personally don't like MDF. We don't get along. I don't like how it cuts, how it smells, how it gums up my lasers. And if it gets wet, it warps very easily. Now this is going to be in a laundry. So even though I am going to seal it, it's going to be in a laundry. So I'm going with plywood and not MDF. I will also be using my drop saw here. Well, not right there because obviously you can't reach. But you can use a jigsaw, or you can just get the Bunnings people to cut it to the exact size you need. They will do that for you. In our Bunnings, you can just take it up into the back corner and they chop it to size. So if you don't want to have to cut it yourself, you can do that at the shops. But if you're going to make a lot of these signs, I highly recommend this thing. I will be using this a lot more in videos. I have actually got a collection of wood in the corner. Drop saw, because that way you can cut it straight. You can set the angles here. If you've never seen a drop saw before, you can actually swivel this so that you can get the right angle that you want. Amazing, amazing. The other thing you're going to need is a drill with a drill bit that matches whatever screws you got. I got Phillips head, so they were doing Phillips head. You can do it by hand. You'll just need to put a lot of force behind it. So I think that's absolutely everything I'm going to use in this video. I hope so anyway. And if not, I apologize in advance and we'll show you anything else. Okay, first things first, we need to work out what size we want this plank of wood. So again, I'm going to take my jar. I don't want a huge sign, like it doesn't need to be this big, that's too big. It's literally for the jar. The jar can also hang off the end if that's your jam. I'm not going to do that because it is glass that I'm using and not a plastic, so I don't want it to get damaged. I also still need to remove the sticky stuff, but we'll do that later. So I'm thinking about there. So I've got laundered money. I think I'm funny. That's why we're going with that saying. There's many things you could do. You could do mum's tip jar, laundry tip jar. You could write nothing. You could have home sweet home if that's your jam. But I'm thinking about there. So I'm going to grab my, oh, see, already. My square. I love this thing. I think it was about $22. Best way to get nice straight lines everywhere. And we're going to use a pen. Okay, I miss lots of things we're going to need. So I'm thinking, I don't want to need it too big because the words are so long. Like laundered is a big word, so it's not going to be super tall because I'm going to have to squish it down. And then money, and then jar. So I'm thinking 26 centimeters or 260 mil onto here. And if you've never used a square before, this is how we do. So I've got my mark here, so I'm going to put this edge along the mark and then run this side along the edge of the plank, and that will keep it straight for us. And so then I just need to draw a line. That's simple. Some of it didn't work. I'm using pen. Most people suggest you use pencil, which is fair enough, but it's not one that's within my grasp. I'm lining it up on the edge, making sure that the blade is in the center. I can do half and then I flip it over. Now I got a bit dodgy, so I come back and line it up without pushing the on button to make sure it's going to get it straight, and then I turn the saw on and chop that excess off. Yes, I should have safety glasses on. No, I don't know where they are right now. And then going to give it a light sand with 240 grit sandpaper, mainly the edge that I cut because the rest looks good, but I also like to give it all once over. I am now going to use a blowtorch to distress the wood a little bit. So you just turn the gas on and then click the button and hold it down, and then you just move it back and forth until it heats up and starts to burn. You can do as much or as little charring as you want. As you can see there, it just brings out the grain a bit better. I have sped this video up or we will be here all day. You also need to make sure you do the sides, otherwise it won't look as cool. And I also did I'm not going to do the back, but I will stain it to show you guys the difference. This is the stain that I am using. This is what was recommended to me. The color is walnut, and the more layers you put on, the darker it gets, but it's a stain and a varnish in one. So you only it just makes it way easier. So this little tin was about $30, but I did do my whole shelf and I've still got heaps left. So you want to give it a good shake. They say stir, I shake, whatever. I'm sure it makes a difference. You could swirl it if that makes you feel better. And this is what I use to open my tins because, you know, I don't have well, you can also use a screwdriver. I don't specifically have a tin opener, so I just use this. It works pretty well. But also a flathead screwdriver does the job. Oh, come on. And then these I get from like the kids craft section. So I'm just going to dip it in and let it soak up like that, and then just smush it across. Oh, good. The trees are going to get in my way today. You want to do this in a no dust area. So this is why I'm outside. See the difference in color already? I'm going to do probably 2 or 3 coats. One coat will never be enough for me because that's not dark enough for what I want, but depending on what color you want can be dependent on how many layers. I need it to match the other one I did. So this is going in the same, this is the laundry sign that's going with the laundry shelf that I made the other day. And I did that not on camera in case I botched it. But essentially I had a plank of wood and I did this to it and then put corner brackets on it and chucked it on the wall. This is much more involved. Make sure we do all the ends. Dip it in, and then on the ends, because this is like a cut grain, I like to kind of dab it on to make it soak in. You also see the wood grain here, which is kind of cool. And it says to wait 2 hours between coats. I'm in Townsville. I feel like I could probably wait less if it was hot enough. Off the edge. You also may want to use gloves or you're going to get stain on you. Pretty sure I've already got stain on me, but that's fine too. It does come off your hands because it's got the varnish in it as well. It kind of becomes like glue that you can peel off. So you can't just see how this is not working when oh, it's kind of working. But if you dab it on instead, it'll soak into the end grain. Now I only ever do the end grain once because I'm pushing so much product in. And you can see how it's already darker than the rest. So I just push this into the end and then I will leave it. Should have worn gloves. Don't even have any, so such is life. Right, so I will leave that. I'll just rest the lid on top. I'm not going to squish it down because I'll be back soon to put more coats on. Now the reason I'm doing it in this order and not starting with the laser is this bit takes the longest. Prepping the wood to stick the sign letters onto takes the longest. I'm also going to rinse this out. I won't show you that. Rinse it out with water and then let it dry out in the sun. The glare from the screen means you're probably not going to be able to see what I'm doing. But I will try my best. So the first thing I'm going to do, I don't like to use USB related things. You can USB to the machine so you don't have to be this close. I like the cord. I just personally think it's more reliable. So I'm going to pop that in, and then I'm going to turn the machine on. So the on button's at the back here, and you'll see it, you can't really see, but it lights up. It's going to do a little moving thing. And so now we're going to go back to the machine, and it says please connect to a device. So you're going to do this setup with me because I've never done it. USB xTool S1. So it recognizes its own machine. I love that. I also apparently need to update. I can tell you that while it was updating, this went purple, so that was cool. In your instruction box, there you go, it's purple again. It does tell you what all the different colors mean. They all mean different stuff. Blinking fast and slow in different colors. I will look into that more later because I don't 100% know what they are. Alright, so I have found this lovely scrap of wood that we will be using because it will fit the machine without me having to cut off some of the new good stuff. And I have measured across the thing, and I have decided that 16 centimeters or 160 millimeters is the widest I want the words. So I'm going to come into here and click on the T in the program, which is text, and I'm going to type laundered, and then we're going to go and look for some fonts. Now I will be going over how to use the program more in depth another day. I just really wanted to make something, but you can line it up so that like in a scrap like this, you can line it up so that it definitely will fit. I will show you all of that lately. This is 3mm basswood, and it doesn't lift out nicely like I hoped it would. You just shove the machine out the way, by the way. So you can see one bit came out and the rest, it won't fall out easily. So we're actually going to redo it. If I hadn't have lifted it up, I could have just cut a second time. But you can see here, if I'm pushing on it, it's not popping out. I'm going to break it with that little piece there. I have a lot of scraps. I keep them all. Like this one, obviously I've got a little bit of wood stain on it. That is actually floor stain, which is why it's so dark. So I'm just going to chuck it in here. And I measured it. I made sure. So this is the biggest we're doing, and you can see that I've got room. So we're going to do that. We're going to get rid of the... So we need to do the distance thing. Oh. Move that to there. I don't know what's going on there. Alright, so we've got I've set up, you hit distance and it does that. And then we need to start marking in the top corner. So if you hit start marking, you then get the option of are you going to do a polygon, a circle, a rectangle. We're going to do a rectangle. So I'm going to click rectangle and hit start marking. And I'm going to have it right in that top corner. And then we hit the blue button on the machine, like that. And then we're going to just physically drag it down to the lowest point where I'm not going to get the stain, and hit the button again. And then you can hit end marking and it will draw the rectangle area. So this is really, really good for precision, getting things lined up, because we all know that I am terrible at lining things up. It has happened over and over again. So I know you won't be able to see it, but on the screen over here, I will attempt to show you. It draws the space, and then you just have to move the stuff within the space, and we're good to go. Alright, this time I picked a walnut 3mm thing, because I'm hoping that it will be thicker. So we're going to just hit start, and then we're just going to hit the button on the machine after it beeps, and off it goes. And I might just process it twice. That will also help. I've made it super fast just so you can see, and I will make it go a second time just there because it still didn't wiggle out. So they all fell out nice and easy. You can see now, so they are a little bit discolored because I did them twice. Not mad about that though. Everything comes away nice and easy. I'm going to need a little mini vacuum, I reckon, to get up all the bits eventually. I also forgot that we are going to paint these black. So, off to the painting table we go. Alright, so I have, this is a pretty cheap paint actually. It's called Fiddly Bits. It only comes in a few colours, but flat black is one of them. I didn't want anything shiny. Give it a good shake. And you want to be further away than normal, because if you get close like this, it's going to blow away. And that's, oops. You want to make sure it's nice and coated. And most of the time you can get away with one coat. You can put a second one if you want to. But they are looking nice and black, and that's it. Alright guys, so this is the burnt side, and then I have also done, this is when you don't burn it. So this is what it will look like if you don't put the wood burning stuff on there. It still looks nice, I just think this looks better. Gives it more depth, in my personal opinion. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick which side's the top. That has dirt on it. Ignore that, it'll be fine. So I'm going to put it that way up. I'm going to take my hose clamp, which is in the plumbing section, and my little tiny 1/2-inch screw. Now, you basically can have any screws with this so long as it's less than the thickness of the wood. And I don't like to get too close, so that's why I chose the tiny one. Oopsies. You screw this, and then we just need to kind of work out where we want it. So I need it about there. So I'm just going to hold that in place. Take my screw, pick a hole, any hole, and screw it in. Slowly. Alright, new plan. I have put the screw through this first. And then I've drilled like a semi-hole just so I've got like a start-up line-up point, and then I can pop this in, and hopefully this will now screw down. Open this out so it's out of the way. And it's in. Ta-da! So now we need to thread this back through, which is easy enough. Screw it in, and then I just need to, I forgot to clean my jar. Pretty clean. I also have a flathead screwdriver, and so I'm just going to start winding that up. Now obviously we don't want to crush it to death, so keep that in mind. You can also do half of it with your fingers until it gets tighter if you want. And I'm trying to just go around that top lip here. As this will only have like a little bit of change in it, it doesn't need to be anything too insane. I'm obviously not trying to crush it, but that is now fairly stuck on there. I can tighten it maybe a little bit more, but I'm pretty happy with that. I'll sped this up so we're not here all day, but just make sure there's no fluff or dust. And then this is just wood glue that I've put in a precision bottle that has a needle tip end so that you can put the glue on much easier. That's pretty much the only trick to it. You will see in a minute that I move them a little bit because I stuffed it up, and it leaves a little bit of white glue. I just take a cotton tip and remove it all, and then it's all good to go. Alright, we're now inside. It is all dried and fabulous, and you can see it now matches my shelf that I also made. Yay! I had to go buy new ones because I couldn't find where my other ones are, but these are the command hooks. This will take up to 5 kilos. However, I mean, they are pretty strong. I will give them that. So you just take one set, crack them apart, and then I like to push them together before I stick them on anything. Alright, so that way they're all going to be lined up. This is really not that heavy. So what I'm going to do is pick a side, any side. They're both the same, so it doesn't matter. We're going to peel off the backing on one side only. And then on the back, I'm going to make sure there's no dust. And then stick it just where we're not going to see it. So I'm like, that's middle-ish. And then I'm going to push it on nice and firm. Then I peel this backing off. Now, if I was selling them, I would just leave it like this. Or you could do a little triangle. It just means you'll have to put a hole in the wall. I'm not big on holes in the wall because I change my mind so frequently. But this is just then going to sit, I think, right about there. So you just push it down. It says to push it for 30 seconds, it says on the packet. There are instructions on how to do this. And then when you want to take it off, you just peel it up. You don't pull straight off. But ta-da! One fabulous laundry sign.